Before we start, hydrate. Hydrate with me. That's the good stuff. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Mariana. This, I guess, would be my booktube debut because I am here to talk to you guys about my top reads of 2021. You know, better late than never. So without further ado, let's get started. First book that I want to talk about today is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. By the way, if I look down, because I have notes and I want things to sound coherent and for this video to not take up as much space on my phone, so yeah. This story is about Grace Porter, who got her PhD in astronomy, and to celebrate, she goes to Vegas to celebrate with her friends, you know, fun times. And then she wakes up the next morning married to a woman whose name she does not remember. She freaks out, and then she gets a call from this woman. They find each other, and she, you know, learns her wife's name, Yuki, who is like the coolest ever. She's this free spirit who doesn't let anything stop her from pursuing what sets her soul on fire, in contrast to Grace, who's very wound up and tied down by the expectations that she sets on herself and the expectations that other people have of her. And these two people spend the summer together at Yuki's request, and Grace's expectations are kind of challenged. It's a very heartwarming and comforting story. It covers themes such as racism in the workplace, family relationships, mental illness, and mental illness in particular is discussed in a way that's very open and honest, but in a way that it's easy to understand, in a way that it doesn't feel forced. It feels real. I finished this in like 2 days. I loved it a lot and everyone should read it. For the record, I'm just gonna say this now so I don't get redundant. Everyone should read the books on this list. That's the point of me talking about them, so that people read them. I'm gonna try to not say that. The next book that I want to talk about is the book that I read right after Honey Girl, and that book is none other than The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, this is the story of the life of this Hollywood starlet, a very much a Liz Taylor type star named Evelyn Hugo, and it's a deep dive into all her choices and who she really was, because she was this very elusive star who had everyone at the edge of their seats with her actions and all the things that she did in her movies and all that. But she was a very private person and nobody really knew. Everyone just kind of assumed that they knew based on the assumptions that people made of her and the things that they would write about her. It tells a story of everything she did for the people she really loved, which the public really knows nothing about, through the stories of her 7 husbands. And it's very wow. I think this is my favorite book of all time. The world building is crazy. I genuinely had to stop a couple times because I was like, oh, I want to Google Evelyn Hugo, but like, she doesn't exist, and that's heartbreaking to me. The details of the characters make them very real. It can make anyone feel seen. This book will twist your heart in unexpected ways. It's a very colorful and exciting journey to be on. I love the aesthetics, I love the moods, I love everything about this book. The only thing that I don't really like about it is the B-plot. I don't even want to talk about the B-plot because everything else about it is just so good. Next book that I want to talk about is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I read this book twice this year. Well, last year. I think that says a lot about how I feel about it. It tells the story of the long-standing rivalry between Alex Claremont Diaz, the son of the President of the United States, and Prince Henry of England. After a public altercation between the two, they are told that they need to pretend to be best friends so as to, you know, damage control to make sure that their family's political careers aren't affected. This pretend friendship blossoms into something more real than either of them could have anticipated. Characters in this book are so lovable. I am a sucker for good character dynamics, and this book has those in full. Like, just, I love every character in this book. It makes you feel like you're there with them, and it kind of makes you wish you were there with them. It's just, it's so wonderful. And the romance is excellent. The premise is excellent as well. Like, the son of the president and the Prince of England. I love that. I love that. I wish, though, that they had gotten more time to just, like, be together. I feel like a lot of it was, there was a lot of B-plot content, it was a really good B-plot, but you will have to find out when you read it. So, next book. This one is a doozy. This one had me, like, in a chokehold. I haven't seen anyone talk about this book, and that is genuinely mind-boggling to me because it is a masterpiece, okay? The book that I'm talking about is Malice by Heather Walter. Now, I can't explain much of the plot because if I do, I will go on an hour-long tangent, and the storage on my phone and my computer can't handle that. So I'm just going to tell you all you need to know. It is a sapphic retelling of Sleeping Beauty. I don't think I have to say anything else for you to just, like, you know, clickety clack on your computer and buy it, because hello. It is a villain origin story, forbidden romance. The prose is stunning, but it's not that convoluted that you're, like, lost the entire time. I will admit I was kind of lost in the beginning when it was, like, world building, but the world building doesn't last that long. It goes just, like, right into the conflicts of the character and then the romance. Oh my god. Dude. Oh my god. You are always rooting for the main character. Even though you know that if the story were flipped and it was, like, the good guys telling the story, you'd be like, damn shawty, like, why? I generally would rate this more than 5 stars if I could. I loved it that much. Everyone needs to read this, but also the urge to gatekeep this is really strong. I'm excited to reread it because Misrule is coming out soon, and I fear. Okay, next book that I gave 5 stars after that was a rom-com, you know, per usual. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This was my first book of the month. Not sponsored by Book of the Month. Don't get it twisted. I really just be promoting this service for free because it slaps, it works. Like, it's really good and you should buy it, but whatever. This is, you know, your standard rom-com, fake dating, grumpy sunshine. I love. The boy in this book is everything. Adam Carlson. And to think that this was a Star Wars fanfiction. An Reylo fanfiction. I don't like Reylo. We don't have to talk about it. It follows the story of Olive, a PhD student who wants to set up her best friend with her ex, but the best friend feels really bad and she's like, no, like, but what about you? And then Olive pulls up and she's like, no, like, I'm dating someone, and it's Adam Carlson, and she kind of wraps him up in this whole thing where it's like a fake relationship, and he's like, okay, I guess, but, you know, obviously things happen, you know, it's fake dating after all, you know, we already know where this goes, like, hello? It's so heartfelt, and, like, a trigger warning for sexual harassment and assault, just in case. It's very near and dear to my heart, very comforting read. Next book is yet another rom-com, The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This book follows the story of Anna, who is a prodigy on the violin, and she's an internet sensation, and in the midst of her trying to, you know, regain inspiration, her boyfriend, her flaming dumpster fire of a boyfriend, is like, hey, I want an open relationship. And then she takes it as an opportunity to kind of let loose, see if it helps with this burnout that she's experiencing. She finds Quan, and he kind of helps her deal with her shit because he helps her realize a lot of things that she, you know, might have been in denial about, might have not realized before. A lot of topics are dealt with, such as family relationships, grief, mental illness, coming to terms with, you know, diagnoses and neurodivergency. It was very beautiful to see these themes laid out so plainly, as these themes are very near and dear to my heart. And then there's, like, still a happy ending. It's just really nice to see the characters succeed in this story because Anna is going through it. I am a proud member of the HHLU, aka the Helen Huang literary universe. I am so excited to get the Bride Test because they're like all like the Kiss Quotient, this one, and the Bride Test are all companion novels, and I'm so excited. Next book is another TJR read because I believe in Taylor Jenkins Reid supremacy. I really do. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Wow. TJR does it again. This follows the story of a fictional band called Daisy Jones and the Six, which is a very Fleetwood Mac style band with Fleetwood Mac style situations and conflicts. And it's the story of all those conflicts and all the romance and angst and drama that occurred backstage and how that seeped into their personal lives and into their music and how people could tell on stage that things were happening. I love the style that this was written in. It's written in like an interview, like the names and the lines, and it's funny because some people will be like, this is how it happened, and then they'll be like, this isn't how it happened. It's a funny back and forth. It's really entertaining. For some reason, the romance in this wasn't for me. A lot of people hype up the romance between like the two main characters, and I just didn't like it that much. It's not that I didn't like it, it didn't make it bad for me. I obviously still rated this book 5 stars. I didn't add anything, it didn't take anything away, except maybe in the end I was like, aw, like, I guess, like, I just didn't care for it. But the world and the characters and the different twists, I love. Next book is, you guessed it, another rom-com, and it is the first good sapphic read I had read in a while, because last year I unfortunately stumbled upon some pretty crappy sapphic books, but this one was not, and this one is Honey and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. Oh my god, I love this book. It felt more relatable to me, I think, just because they're like closer to my age range. They're like in their senior year of high school, in like in Dublin standards, because this story is set in Dublin. I'm a senior in high school. So basically, story. Hani comes out to her friends as bisexual, and her terrible friends, they're just like invalidating her, and so she feels the need to like find a girlfriend so that they stop, you know, shitting on her. The fuck? And then while that's happening, Ishu needs to impress her parents. There's stuff going on in her family that she just feels like she can't disappoint her family. Like, it's very critical for her, but she needs people to like her because she is not like the nicest. She's kind of like an overachiever, like very much married to her studies, which like as she should. They come together and they fake date basically, because Hani proves that she's bi, Ishu proves that she's sociable, and you know, we all know how these things end. It's called Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. We all know where that leads to. This book deals with a lot of topics. It deals with so much that the author puts content warnings at the beginning, and I thought that was really cool. I barely see authors doing that with their books when their books include heavy stuff that, you know, could use a trigger warning. It says, content warnings, this book contains instances of racism, homophobia, specifically biphobia and lesbophobia, Islamophobia, toxic friendship, gaslighting, and parental abandonment. Very comforting and light. Just what I needed in that moment, you know? So it was really nice. We are reaching the end here. I have 2 books left to talk about, one of which is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I think this is the first thriller I had read like getting back into reading, which is funny because I read this like at the end of December. This did not disappoint. In kind of the same case as Malice, in the sense that I can't talk about this book without like spoiling too much or like talking about it for hours. So I am just going to say that you have to read this book if you want to get into thrillers. If you love thrillers and for some reason you haven't read this, this is excellent. There's mystery, suspense, treasure hunts, hating on men, ruining their lives, as she should, as Amy Dune should. There are some parts in this book that I genuinely think of and am like, oh my god. I get a little bit like, ooh. Amy Dune is a fascinating character. She's insane, but like, as she should. If you want to get into thrillers, this is a great way to start. I have the cool girl monologue annotated here somewhere. See, the cool girl. Men always say that as the defining compliment. I guess you'll have to read it to know what the rest of it says. Okay, last book that I read in 2021. Literally finished this on December 31st at my cousin's house. Beach Read by Emily Henry. It follows January Andrews, a romance writer, as she deals with writer's block and grief and a whole bunch of other schmuck. She goes to her late father's lake house in Michigan and finds her college rival, Augustus Everett, who is a literary fiction writer. Now, the two get together, they get to talking, and they decide on the following challenge. January will write literary fiction, you know, the next great American novel, as one does, and Augustus will try to write a sappy rom-com. And it's fun because they get to do these things together, like Augustus will take her on interviews with him, like research that a literary fiction writer would do. January takes him on like cute little rom-com related like little dates and stuff. It's really, really cute. It's a brilliant premise. I love the premise. It's a grumpy sunshine. It's academic rivals to lovers. It's wonderful, and everyone should read it. Everyone should read all of these books. All right, that was the last of them. Thank you so much. Hold on. These are my top 10 reads of 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed. There are definitely more videos in the making, and yeah, let me know what books I should read. Let me know what other content you want to see. I am open to any and all suggestions. You should follow me on my socials. They're all linked below. You know, if you like this, comment, like it, subscribe, turn on the bell for post notifications. Okay, thank you for watching. Goodbye.